God. It doesn't make sense to me, dude.
Sean here, and in addition to the FBI, the CIA, Marine Recon, Army Recon, Navy SEALs, U.S. Marshals, Chance has now shown the Adult Protective Services team members all of the evidence that he's collected against himself. Chance should probably keep Adult Protective Services out of his mouth, because I don't know if he understands this, but if they really were called, it has to be a family member, right? Or you can report it. But if it's a family member, they're going to take it a little bit more seriously, especially if you have the same last name. And especially if there's video evidence of a psychotic little leprechaun goblin in the hood screaming and yelling, and I don't know, sounded like violence to me. Don't use violence. But now I'm going to use violence. It's obvious he doesn't know who Adult Protective Services is, because he started talking about showing them the evidence. They're not concerned, which means he's only been going out and reading Reddit posts. I think for right now, he's only concerned in keeping up with people know about him, what they know about him, not really what people have to say, their opinions. Right now, he's so desperate in keeping up with the homeless arc and now Adult Protective Services. He's just trying to stay ahead of everyone else. And if you want me to be perfectly honest, I think he's trying to learn what the consequences of his failed life are going to be. That face you see on the screen, that's who I see when I think of Chance. I see a wannabe gangsta goblin who at one point thought he was the biggest rapper in the world, still believes he is, still believes that people listen to street racing. Let me tell you about street racing scene. And about how my son presented it, if I didn't mention it before. He told me, oh my God, you gotta hear this song. It's epic, it's unbelievable. And he's smiling. I'm like, oh man, it must be somebody I like. He's like, yeah, I'm a surprise dad. I'm not gonna tell him who it is. And then, here we go, on the street racing scene. And he's bobbing his head and hysterically laughing. And I realize this is Wance Chilkins he's playing. But it also occurred to me that this is why he's still in his attic. And I only bring that up because Adult Protective Services, I'm not sure what the paperwork is in Ohio to remove his bitch ass from the attic. But I don't even know if you require an eviction notice. You would want to remove the problem from the house immediately. And there would probably be police involved if they did remove him. I don't know if Sally will ever do it. But one thing about Chance that pisses me off is that when you reach Sally's age, you've been through decades, 6 decades or something like that. You've been through financial ups and downs. You've had highs and lows. You've got good memories and bad memories. Right now, Sally should be sitting in her chair, reminiscing about the good old days, having her friends over for tea, maybe reading a book, curled up with a blanket. But instead, this festering disease is in the attic, ruining their lives. They can't sleep. I don't know if you've ever been in the military, but if you've ever been in the field and you've been deprived sleep, sounds make you twitch, like your nerves are shot. I'm not talking about war, I'm talking about training. This is what they have to be going through at all times. They're on edge because they never know when the next loud noise is going to come. They close their eyes and they're just... I don't know if you've lived in an apartment, but you're hypersensitive to the sounds after they begin to annoy you. You are listening for them as you're trying to go to sleep. And I think they're probably the same way with Chance. They're just waiting for it. Or imagine it's 2 o'clock in the morning and all of a sudden you hear, here we go, and then stomping and screaming, and you go up and you're like, would you please just stop? And it's your house. It's your house, and you're begging this little goblin to stop. And instead of stopping, you are met with screaming and violence. And right now, he's not concerned with opinions, as I've said before. Right now, he is just trying to stay ahead of the game. He's trying to see what the consequences of his actions are going to be. He's trying to figure out what people know about him so that he can come out and make a video And he's still making the same video about, you guys, I've shown him this and I've shown him that, and I'm not talking to kids. I'm not. Yes, you are, Chance. Yes, you most certainly are. Chance is the epitome of a douchebag. Anyway, I just feel bad for Sally. I know it's her decisions that, or her lack of decision making, that's gotten them to this point. She's with Ed. They're supposed to be having some kind of life, and there's a failure to launch Goblin in their attic. How do you get him out of there? How do you get him out of there without legal action? He's going effing nowhere. He swears he's not going to be homeless. We all know he's going to be homeless. If Sally dies, he's gone. He's on the streets. He may apply for something, or maybe a buddy troll or someone with compassion may try to help him get into some kind of home, but the waiting list is off the charts right now for group homes. As far as I'm concerned, Chance wouldn't survive on the streets for more than like a day. He would just give up. He might start fights with everybody that walks by. The homeless arc is gonna be just absolutely epic. Maybe they have a car. Sally, I don't even know if it's paid off. Maybe it's a junker Ed managed to pay off. Who knows? Or it could be Sally's, but it'll go to Ed. I don't know if they're married, and I don't really care. Like I said, I don't really care about their union. I just know they're living in a house. Sally is the number one person at fault for this bullshit. I would like to ask Chance. I would never want to talk to the goblin piece of shit, but I would like to ask him, if through someone else maybe, are you not going to be homeless because you're going to be living in a car? Do you think you have friends that are going to allow you to nest in their house? Because they can't get you out once you're there. They will have to physically throw you out. This is why Sally can't get you out. Look at how you reacted to them asking you to turn down your music dozens of times. Imagine Sally's fear of what it's going to be like, Chance, to try to ask you to leave. You're going to snap. You're going to lose it. First, you're going to bargain. No, I'm working on it. I got money coming in. It's going to be great. I'm going to be a rock star. Ed knows Chance is never going to be anything. Sally has to know he's never going to be anything. I'm sure they were banking on the whole I'm a special needs artist thing that never came to pass. I'll say it again. And if Chance, if you happen to be listening to this, I want you to understand something, you little goblin douchebag. When the words Adult Protective Services are mentioned, it is never just to say it. You don't just throw those around loosely. Once they are involved, they are involved. They're not going to stop. They're not going to listen to your excuses, Chance. They're not going to listen to anything you say because you are not the victim. Sally and Ed are. You are the person they are going to be trying to get out of that house. You should be down on your knees begging Sally to forgive you, to ask her to keep you in the house. Because Sally doesn't have to call Adult Protective Services. That video alone, that video evidence should be enough to get you out of the house. Period. If your mom, grandma would push it, you'd be gone, you little goblin troll douchebag. There are a lot of clever people in this community. A lot of clever people that have more connections. And there are some in Ohio, I know, that have more connections in that state. Chance, if I were you, I would straighten up, go find a job, get the fuck out of the house before you're thrown out. Because if you can control when you get out of that house, if you can control your own destiny, go get a job, get some money, move out of the house on your own with a plan, that's way better than all of a sudden being removed unexpectedly by the police. And what's sad is, though, is Sally would fight to bring his bitch ass back. She would fight, and he's gonna come back, and Chance would be on his best behavior. And yes, I'll take the garbage out for you, but that would last a day. The minute he couldn't get online and scream and stream, and I don't know what he's got going on in the background, but I see like a computer screen, and I'm like, man, that shit needs to be bricked. His phone needs to be bricked. He's ruined everyone's life around him. Sally's life is ruined. She has no hope for a peaceful end. Her death will be all about Chance. It's just a sad situation. The truth is, if he was violent towards Sally, Adult Protective Services would probably step in, and the cops would be working in conjunction. They wouldn't even be taking the lead, because they would have to remove him from that house immediately, which is Adult Protective Services, and then they would have to talk about pressing charges. Well, Chance, I got some news for you, brother. If Adult Protective Services is the one who takes you out of that house, Sally doesn't have to press charges. APS can simply push it forward, get a restraining order, and you're fucked if they get a restraining order. You can't go back to Sally. She may not call, but the trolls, as you like to call them, they're going to know if you're back at that house, and they're going to call, and you're going to get removed again, and you're going to get in trouble. And you know as well as I do, if you get in front of a judge, you're going to run your little goblin toothless mouth, and they're going to put you in jail again. I'm just speaking truth here, and if the goblin is watching this, the gravity of the situation cannot be stressed enough, because once they come in, they don't leave until the problem is resolved. And the problem 9 times out of 10 is not going to be resolved by saying, okay, we want you to behave better around this person. It's not. Locking him up in the room, it's not going to happen. He's still in the house. It would be like having an abusive spouse, and then they can live in the far part of the house, and they're not supposed to come into the other. But Chance can't help it. He has to go to he'd have to get food. And there's no way Adult Protective Services is going to say, hey, Chance, they're going to leave food at your door. Well, I want to go down and get a snack. Then he'd have to have contact. It's not going to work. So Chance is gone. If they get involved, he's out of that house. And I cannot stress enough how happy I would be, even though I think Sally's a piece of shit, as well as Ed, knowing that an elderly woman will not have to suffer the abuse of this piece of crap. Maybe she really has given up and she's just exhausted and exasperated. But the bottom line is, if they do get involved, if someone manages to get them involved, it's over. Because the safety of Sally takes precedence. Sorry. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next one.
It doesn't make sense to me, dude.